every Saturday on KBC.
Hii ni Mitikasi leo, makala kutoka BBC. Yaliomo: Uganda yaanza kukubalia madereva wa malori kuingia nchini humo baada ya mzozo kuhusu vipimo vya corona. Baadaye, je, bei za mafuta zitaendelea kuongezeka au zitapungua mwaka huu? Tunachambua hilo katika muda si mrefu. Kisha michuano ya kombe la mataifa ya Afrika AFCON hatimaye yang'oa nanga huko Cameroon. Tukija kutoka Nairobi, Kenya, tuende kazi. Dakta, karibu katika habari za biashara zinazokuhusu, uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano. Mimi ni Peter Mwangangi. Uganda imeanza kukubalia madereva wa malori ya kubeba mizigo walio na vyeti vya COVID vinavyoonyesha hawana corona na waliopimwa chini ya saa 72 kuingia nchini humo. Uganda pia imekubali kutambua matokeo ya vipimo vya PCR kutoka Kenya iwapo vimefanywa kwenye maabara zinazotambuliwa na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Mzozo kati ya madereva na mamlaka ya Uganda ulisababisha madereva hao kususia kazi katika kivuko cha Malaba tangu Januari tarehe 1 mwaka huu. Mamlaka zilikuwa zimedai upimaji mpya wa COVID na malipo ya $30. Mauzo ya bidhaa kutoka Uganda hadi Kenya yalikuwa dola milioni 465, huku mauzo ya Kenya kwenda Uganda yakiwa dola milioni 673 mwaka 2020 kulingana na Umoja wa Mataifa. Mvutano huu ulileta wasiwasi kuhusu juhudi za kutekeleza soko huru la bara la Afrika AfCFTA ambalo linalenga kupunguza vikwazo katika biashara. Awali nilizungumza na John Bosco Kalisa, mkurugenzi mkuu wa Baraza la Biashara la Afrika Mashariki. Nilitaka kujua hasara ya kiuchumi iliyopatikana na mzozo huo mpakani.
Tunakuwa tunazungumza na minister wa EAC, minister wa Health, kama tunaomba watoe hiyo charge ya $30. Iko mingi sana kwa business, kwa biashara ya hii region.
Unafikiri ule muda ambao malori yamekuwa pale kwenye mpaka imekuwa na athari gani kwa uchumi wa Afrika Mashariki?
Inakuwa mingi sana, inakuwa mingi. Tunakuwa tunaona namba inakuwa rough 450 trucks piled around Maraba, stretching from Maraba to deep to other places in Kenya. So kama wewe unaona kama hiyo unaona cost inakuwa mingi sana. So tunaomba kama government ya Uganda itoe hiyo new measure na cost walitoe.
Na kwa kifupi kabisa, nchi za Afrika Mashariki zinafaa kufanya nini ili kuhakikisha kwamba ufanyaji wa biashara ni rahisi, hakuna vikwazo vingi ama vitu kama ambavyo tumeshuhudia katika mpaka wa Kenya na Uganda?
Tunakuwa tunasema sisi kwa Business Council tunakuwa tunaomba EAC ministries, EAC partner states, kama when they put up a measure, they need to respect the measures they are put in place. Sahi tunasema sisi iko na regional truck drivers certificate. Hiyo they need to respect that, they need to adhere to that. So ndio sisi tunaomba sasa Iebc kama new measures wacha tuzungumuze pamoja, tuone implication kwa biashara wetu.
Kwa hivyo wazungumze na watu ambao wanahusika kabla ya kuanza kutekeleza.
Ndio nakuwa nasema hiyo ndio spirit ya EAC, ya Iebc. Kama tunazungumza kama new measure is introduced, wacha tuzungumuze kwanza before the measure is being implemented.
Kwa sasa tutupie macho taarifa zingine za biashara kutoka hapa na pale. Imekuwa miaka miwili tangu shule nchini Uganda zifungwe kutokana na janga la korona, huku baadhi ya wanafunzi milioni 15 wakiwa hawaendi shuleni tangu Machi mwaka 2020. Lakini hali sasa inabadilika, kwani Jumatatu hii wanafunzi wamerejelea masomo darasani. Shule zote zimetakiwa kuweka mikakati za kuwalinda wanafunzi dhidi ya maambukizi ya korona. Jumuiya ya nchi za Afrika Magharibi ECOWAS imesema itafunga mipaka na Mali na kuweka vikwazo vya kiuchumi kwa sababu ya kucheleweshwa kwa uchaguzi ulioahidiwa baada ya mapinduzi ya kijeshi ya mwaka 2020. Hatua hizo zinatokana na viongozi wa muda wa Mali kupendekeza kufanyika kwa uchaguzi Disemba mwaka 2025 badala ya mwezi ujao kama ilivyokuwa imekubaliwa hapo awali. Na kwa wapenzi wote wa soka ambao walilazimika kusubiri mwaka mmoja zaidi, awamu ya 33 ya kombe la mataifa ya Afrika AFCON yameanza nchini Cameroon, huku wenyeji wakianzisha kwa mchuano dhidi ya Burkina Faso ambapo walitoa ushindi wa magoli 2-1 dhidi ya Burkina Faso. Endelea kufuatilia taarifa za matukio kupitia BBC Radio, runinga na mtandao. Hii ni Mitikasi Leo kutoka BBC, tutakaangazia hivi punde na tathmini iwapo bei za mafuta zitaendelea kuongezeka au kupungua mwaka huu. Je, bei za mafuta zitaendelea kuongezeka au zitapungua katika mwaka huu wa 2022? Sasa muungano wa mataifa yanayouza mafuta duniani OPEC umekuwa ukikabiliwa na changamoto za uzalishaji wa bidhaa hiyo. Wiki jana OPEC ilisema itaendelea na mpango wake wa awali wa kuongeza 400,000 za mapipa ya mafuta kwa siku katika uzalishaji wa mwezi ujao. Marekani, India na Japan zimekuwa zikihimiza OPEC kuongeza kiwango cha mafuta duniani ili kusaidia kupunguza bei na kukabiliana na janga la korona. Mnamo Disemba mwaka jana, OPEC iliongezea mapipa 70,000 ya mafuta kwa siku katika uzalishaji, lakini baadhi ya wanachama wake kama Nigeria na Angola wamekuwa na changamoto za kuongeza uzalishaji hadi kiwango kinachotakiwa. Haya yakijiri, bei ya mafuta ghafi imeendelea kuongezeka 2 kwa kila pipa. Lakini tulifikaje hapa? Awali nimezungumza na mtaalamu wa masuala ya mafuta Mwendi Anyaga kuhusu hili. Tumsikize.
Kuna vile investment kwa kutafuta mafuta mpya ilikuja ikaenda kwa mwendo wa pole sana kuanzia hapo mwaka wa 2014 wakati bei za mafuta zilianguka. Alafu sasa korona ikakuja ikatupata, ndio ikasukuma ile mwendo ikaenda hata polepole zaidi. Sasa vile hatukuwa tunapata mafuta mpya, tunatoa tu ile ilikuwa imepatikana hapo zamani. Sasa hiyo imeanza kupeleka bei juu, na economy za Afrika lazima zitapata ngumu kidogo, kwa sababu wengi wetu tunategemea mafuta mbali.
Kuna nchi ambazo zinategemea sana mafuta kwa uchumi wao, na tumekuwa tukisikia neno diversify, yani wapanue wigo wa uchumi ili wategemee sekta zingine. Je, hii imekuwa ikiwezekana?
Imekuwa ikiwezekana polepole. Ukiangalia kama uchumi ya Kenya, sisi kule kutengeneza stima tunategemea maji, tunategemea geothermal, tunategemea sola na pia tunategemea upepo. Na kwa hivyo inawezekana polepole, lakini inachukuanga muda kuweka ile investment inatakikana kufanya hivyo.
Tukiangalia nchi kama Angola, mwezi jana imefanikiwa kuongeza kiwango cha mafuta ambacho inatoa. Je, unadhani hii itakuwa na manufaa gani kwa uchumi wa nchi hiyo, na je inatosha?
Najua Angola uchumi yake inategemea ile mafuta inatoa sana. Utakuta kiwango labda juu ya 70% ya bajeti yao inatokana na ile mafuta ambayo wanauza. Sasa wakiambiwa waongezee ile mafuta wanaweza kutoa, hiyo inasaidia uchumi yao.
Tukiangalia eneo la Afrika Mashariki, mwananchi wa kawaida ama mtu wa kawaida atarajie nini kuhusu bei za mafuta katika siku zijazo?
Katika siku zijazo na labda hata miaka ambayo inakuja, bei za mafuta zitakuwa juu kidogo, kwa sababu najua dunia yote sasa inafanya ile inaitwa transition kutoka kwa mafuta sasa ndio tuende kwa renewables. Kwa hivyo mafuta supply itakuwa chini kidogo, na hiyo itaweka bei zikuwe juu kwa muda.
Tukisonga mbele, karibu popote unapokwenda ulimwenguni unaweza kupata chupa za plastiki za maji. Mara nyingi chupa hizi hutumika mara moja tu kabla ya kuleta shida kubwa sana ya mazingira. Sasa Uskochi, ambayo ilikuwa mwenyeji mwaka jana wa mkutano wa tabia nchi wa COP26, inabadili sheria ili kukabiliana na tatizo hilo. Kuanzia Juni itapiga marufuku matumizi ya plastiki zinazotumika mara moja tu. Tazama.
Ushahidi wa mazoea yetu ya kutupa vitu. Plastiki hizi zinaweza kuchakatwa, lakini inakadiriwa kuwa karibu nusu ya bidhaa zote za plastiki zinazozalishwa haziwezi kuchakatwa. Na Uskochi sasa imeamua kuwa mamilioni ya vitu vya plastiki ambavyo vinatumika mara moja tu vinakaribia kupigwa marufuku.
Ni muhimu sana kuchukua hatua hii, na sio tu kuzuia uchafuzi huu wote. Pia nilizungumza na watoto wakati wa COP26 mwaka jana. Hawawezi tena kucheza katika bustani yao kwa sababu imefunikwa kwa taka. Pia itapunguza kiwango chetu cha kaboni.
Inakadiriwa kuwa kila mwaka nchini Uskochi mirija milioni 300 ya plastiki, vyombo milioni 276 vya plastiki na vyombo vya kula milioni 66 vya chakula vya polystyrene hutupwa. Hivi ndivyo baadhi ya vitu vitakavyopigwa marufuku na sheria mpya. Baadhi ya biashara kama hii iliyoko Portobello tayari zimeanza kutumia vitu vilivyotengenezwa kwa mimea. Pia wanahimiza wateja kuleta vyombo vinavyoweza kuchakatwa.
Itakuwa mabadiliko ya utaratibu kwa watu kwa sababu tumezoea sana kutumia plastiki. Hasa tangu janga la corona, sekta hii imekuwa sehemu kubwa zaidi ya tasnia. Kutoka Juni, serikali inataka biashara kuondoa kabisa matumizi ya plastiki. Tumejaribu kufanya mabadiliko haya tayari ili tuwe mbele ya mkondo.
Na iwapo ilikupita, wanasayansi sasa wanajaribu kutumia dhahabu katika matibabu ya saratani. Majaribio ya matibabu yameonyesha kwamba dhahabu inaweza kuwa ya manufaa katika kutibu maumivu kama vile ya mishipa na pumu, na wakati mwingine hata saratani mbaya zinazoua. Dhahabu imekuwa ikitumika kutibu saratani, ambapo chembe zake hutumika katika tiba ya kuua seli za saratani, yani radiation therapy. Hii huifanya mashine ya X-rays kuingia vyema na kufanya tiba hiyo kuwa yenye ufanisi zaidi. Utayarishaji wa filamu inayofuatia ile ya Black Panther umesimamishwa tena. Hii ni baada ya mwigizaji mkuu Lupita Nyong'o kuthibitishwa kuwa na COVID-19. Lupita alitangaza kuwa ameambukizwa ugonjwa huu kupitia ukurasa wake wa Twitter na kusema kwamba amepata chanjo na sasa anaendelea kujitenga wakati akipata matibabu. Na hatimaye Kenya iko kwenye mazungumzo na Dubai ili kurejesha safari za ndege baada ya kupigwa marufuku kuhusiana na COVID. Marufuku hiyo imewekwa baada ya wasafiri kupatikana na virusi vya corona licha ya vyeti walivyowasilisha kuonyesha hawana virusi. Mwisho wa mitikasi leo kutoka BBC. Mimi ni Peter Mwangangi, hadi wakati mwingine, kwa heri.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Na kuona wewe una siri moyoni mwako.
You know very well, kila mtu ushikwa na mashida at some point.
Umemalizana na bill?
Shalipa. Kitambo.
I missed you, but nafurahi umekuwa sawa sasa. I missed you too.
Mimi sikuwa na pochi yako. Niwe nao kwa madhumuni gani?
Jiulize wewe. Kuna mambo yangu ya kibinafsi ambayo siwezi kutuma na mtu. Haswa huyo nyota wako.
De traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Veneno y la ambición.
Good morning, and thank you for creating time to catch a news check this particular day. Of course, we are on the road to the 2022 general election, and what we do here on the program is to assess the developments on this particular journey as we edge closer to the general election. And today, it's not different. I'll be letting you in on what we are discussing. We'll be talking about managing electoral disputes in our country. In just a short while, I'll be engaging Ms. Desma Nungo, the chairperson of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, concerning this. But first, I just want us to follow up on something that is happening right now. And this particular morning, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee is currently having a sit-down with County Woman Representative for Murang'a, Honorable Sabina Chege, at Anniversary Towers. We just want to let you in on this particular sitting, and then we'll come back and pick up from there as we discuss managing electoral dispute in our country. Let's take you to Anniversary Towers right now.
By this code shall, throughout an election period, and I think Learned Counsel, Honorable Otienda Molo, has ventilated the issue. Are we in an electoral period? Have we kicked off 2022 electoral period? Has this code been subscribed to by the particular players, whether the aspirants or the members of parliament or our candidates? Our submission is that not as yet, and therefore to even say that this code has been violated at this stage would be an overreach, and our initial invitation to the commission is to actually examine that particular clause A. Particularly, again, the particulars of it are: a candidate who is bound by this code shall publicly and repeatedly condemn violence. Is there any issue about violence in this, or intimidation, or avoid the use of hate speech? Again, and language. Again, our submission is that the nature of this charge does not actually lend itself to 6A, to the extent that it's not about hate speech, it's not about language, and it's not about violence, and so on. So basically what we are saying here, Mr. Chairman, is that perhaps the charge as it is does not invite a response from our client, it being redacted as it is, it being based on hearsay as it is, and it not being specific to issues of the commission. And again, council have submitted that at this point in question, who is the complainant? We have been told there is a report and material. At least from a very basic fair hearing, it would be very important that before our client responds, at least she should have access to the report and material that is placed before you. To the extent that you have these reports with you and the materials with you, we do ask that we be provided these materials in order for us to advise our client to respond. Thank you.
Senior Councillor.
Yes.
Just making a closing remark.
Mr. Chairman, I want to appeal to you that it will be very, very dangerous for you to deal with this matter. And I think you should have second thoughts about dealing with this matter. And the moment you're trying to deal with this matter, Honorable Sabina Chege would not be on trial. It is this commission that would be on trial. Not by invitation, but by your own invitation. Because in the statement of the breach, half of it you have dealt with the 2017 general elections, in which this commission was found at fault by judgment of the Supreme Court. The Jubilee Party was never found at fault. It was the commission that was found at fault. And I think there's a distinction here between the general elections and the presidential elections. There were two presidential elections in 2017. One was the election, the presidential election, after the verdict of the Supreme Court, which was purely a presidential election. But what you brought into purview is the general elections in which there was a presidential election. And that election, the commission was found at fault, not the Jubilee Party. And Mr.
Senior Counsel, there's not the commission on trial here.
No, that's why I'm telling you.
It's not the commission on trial. Just confine yourself to the matter before us.
You
Yes.
have the last word. You have the last word. Yeah, you have the last word. I don't have the last word. So there is no reason for you to be sensitive. And we are officers of the court. You are an officer of the court. And I know my parameters. You also know that there's a matter which is before the court, challenging this commission arising out of the outcome of the 2017 general elections, that you refuse to make a disclosure in pursuance of the court orders that were made by the Supreme Court. And therefore, I would plead with you, in these circumstances, don't bring the Electoral Commission into disrepute at this time when we're approaching a general election. Because we'll have to go to the conduct of the commission itself, even by the manner in which this complaint has been brought against Honorable Sabina Chege. So the honorable thing to do for this committee is to withdraw from presiding over this proceeding. And that probably will not be the end of the matter. Election matters are not completely in the exclusive domain of the Electoral Commission, insofar as some of these breaches are concerned, as far as I'm concerned. And therefore, I would conclude by saying the breach are set out in the statement of the breach, and the particulars of the breach do not meet the constitutional muster, and that the words that are contained in the particulars of the breach cannot be a substance upon which you can enter into an inquiry as to the statement or utterances of Honorable Sabina Chege. And finally, that the Commission will not have jurisdiction on this matter arising out of the many issues that have been brought out by Honorable Tienda Amolo, particularly on account of the manner in which the charges have been framed, and on account of the applicability of the electoral code at this time when the election program towards the 9th of August 2022 has not been fully articulated. That will be all.
Okay, thank you. The preliminary objections raised, we have heard you. The commission will retire and make a ruling within 30 minutes from now. What time is it now? So can we come back at 11:15 for the ruling on the issues raised on the preliminary objections? Thank you.
All right, so the pictures you're seeing on your screens there, coming to us from Anniversary Towers right here in Nairobi. This particular morning, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission summoned Honorable Sabina Chege, who is the woman representative for Murang'a County, concerning remarks she made a few days ago concerning voter rigging claims. And we are just, following up this developing story for you. They have taken a break. They'll be coming for that session at around 11:45. That's what we understand as at now. So we'll be covering that for you as well. And it is something that touches on what the woman representative said concerning voter rigging claims, and she's just being tasked to shed some light concerning those claims there. We will be following up that for you. And of course, in studio, we want to begin our conversation this morning as we paint the picture of the road to the 2022 general election. What is being done? What are stakeholders doing? What is it that we are doing as the country's preparedness for the general election? And today we are taking this to the political parties dispute tribunal to look at the state of their preparedness. And I'm having the chairperson with me in studio, Miss Desma Nungo. Thank you for creating time for us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right. We just coming from that session by Iebc this morning. Iebc summoned Murang'a woman representative Honorable Sabina Chege concerning what she said when it comes to claims of voter rigging in the August polls. Your quick comments about not specifically, the session that is currently going on, because it is still, generally the role of these political players and the magnitude and the power that comes with their remarks and even their actions in terms of how it influences the electorate to behave or decide, make certain decisions.
I think being an electioneering year, the environment is fluid. So what I would say is that as leaders or even as Kenyans, we've got to be cautious about the statements that we make, because the public is listening to us, and sometimes the public is influenced a lot by what their leaders speak to. So it's important that we exercise a lot of caution, exercise restraint where we can, and where we have issues that we need addressed, there are appropriate mechanisms for bringing them forth with a view to having them considered. So that's what I would say. But as you note, the matter is currently under the IEBC's determination. We will wait to hear what the determination will be. Yes.
All right. Of course, we cannot comment on this particular matter because it is still under investigation. Right. But I just want you to talk to the electorate at this crucial time when their leaders will be, visiting them in different parts of the country, and they'll be talking to them and sending messages. What should the electorate have in mind when it comes to receiving this information? What fundamental principles should guide them in deciding how to act on the information they receive from these leaders?
I think the electorate should just be guided by what you believe is morally right and morally acceptable, and what would be the principles of what we consider to be natural justice, the norms in the society. So even as we listen in, because of course we are going to hear a lot of things coming out, the mood is already out there, we are able to sieve and know this is good for us, this is not good for us, this is the truth, and this is not the truth. So I think let us just exercise our minds. Each and every individual human being, within you have the inherent capacity to know and ascertain what is right and what is not right. So let's just have that reason within us prevail, even as we consider what is being put out to us.
All right. Thank you for that. And now I'll take you to what you do best.
Yes.
Let's leave that to NCIC.
Correct.
And, managing hate speech and that. Let me take you to what, you do best. The Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, you chair that particular tribunal. As we begin this conversation this morning, many would want to know what is the mandate of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal?
Okay. So the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal is a quasi-judicial. When I say quasi-judicial, I mean it's a body that exercises judicial functions, but then not strictly speaking a judicial entity. So it's a quasi-judicial entity that hears and determines disputes arising out of political party affairs. So you note that political parties, they undertake a lot of processes, and out of these processes, they are bound to be disputes in one way or another. So in the event of such disputes, the law allows them first to resolve them internally, and then once they have attempted to resolve internally and there's still dissatisfaction, then they are able to present their complaints at the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal. Now, to break it down, when I say disputes involving party processes, it could be a dispute between a member and a political party with respect, for example, to how their constitution is being interpreted in relation to a particular incident. So they can be able then to come before the PPDT once they have attempted to resolve it within their party. It could be a dispute between political parties. It could be dispute amongst coalition partners, and then it could also be an appeal from the decisions of the registrar of political parties. So we hear both the complaints and then we also have the appeal avenue also. But this is from the decisions of the registrar of political parties. And to add,
for example, if the registrar of political parties bars a candidate from vying in a particular election, that candidate can present that particular case?
Yes, in the process
to the tribunal?
Indeed, the Registrar of Political Parties is the overall regulator of political parties, and they make decisions in one way or another that concern the party. For example, or even so for example, if a party wants to change its particulars, and then for one reason or another the registrar is not satisfied and declines to make that change, for example in its officials, because they are not able to see the minutes that gave rise to those changes, and then so the registrar declines. So then an aggrieved party can move the tribunal by way of an appeal, asking that the tribunal looks into that particular matter. So it varies from one exercise of jurisdiction to the other of the registrar.
All right.
Yes.
There's a bit of confusion, and I want you to clarify. What's the difference between your mandate as the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal and the mandate of the Iebc's Dispute Resolution Committee? And also we've seen such cases being taken to court.
Correct.
So who does what? What sets the boundary?
Okay. To start us off, we need to be clear that the Iebc, pursuant to the Constitution and the Iebc Act, they have the mandate to hear disputes arising out of nominations. Similarly, the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal, pursuant to the Political Parties Act, are also clothed with this mandate of hearing disputes arising out of party nominations. So in essence, there is concurrent jurisdiction between these two bodies in the hearing and determination of such disputes. So what normally happens before I get to the court, because the court will be exercising an appellate level, which I will come to. So what normally happens is that based on our experiences in the past, the period prior to 2013, and the public or even our users knowing too well that both of these institutions had this concurrent mandate, there was a bit of confusion because a litigant or a party would go to the Iebc with their dispute, come to the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, which we normally call the PPDT, with their disputes. So sometimes we ended up having similar disputes before these separate entities. And what was most challenging is that they would also come up with conflicting determinations. So you can imagine this impacted on justice, because at the end of the day you want an order that is clear, that is implementable. So what happened in 2017 is the Iebc and PPDT entered into an administrative arrangement by way of a memorandum of understanding, which we normally refer to as the MOU, where now we tried to give information to the public insofar as which disputes would Iebc deal with and which ones would PPDT deal with. Of course, I've given the historical basis for this MOU, and also just to mention that as two institutions, we deemed it responsible because we are all funded by the taxpayers' money. So we need to work in a very organized way, even as we wait for, because the only cure to this particular situation would be a constitutional amendment.
Well, I was about to ask you, that arrangement, was it enshrined in law? It was, something that you came up with just to manage the challenges that the two institutions were facing with regards to the kind of disputes you were receiving at that time?
This arrangement, we came up with it to manage. Yeah, because as I've stated, both entities' mandate is already enshrined in law within statutes. And the cleaner way of handling it would have been to deal with the constitutional amendments in terms of, because the cry has been, we need to take away dispute resolution out of the Iebc. They already have a heavy mandate that they are exercising in terms of electoral processes. But because the law exists as it is right now, so we worked out a way in which we would prudently manage resources and give space for each of the institutions to perform their functions.
So currently, what does your tribunal handle, and what is left for Iebc to handle?
Okay, so what we will be farming up, we already have an MOU draft for 2022, which picks from the lessons learned in 2017 and tries to improve on them. And in essence, disputes relating to party processes, because you remember I said for us, our concern is to hear disputes arising out of party processes. So if it is a dispute relating to a party process, for example, how a political party conducted its nominations, that would squarely come before the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal. Disputes relating to, for example, registration of candidates, that's a mandate for the Iebc, qualifications, such kinds of disputes then would be referred to the Iebc. So anything outside the party processes would go to the Iebc. But for anything within the party processes, whether it's their nominations, anything they conducted internally.
If somebody enters a coalition on behalf of the party without following due process, that is something you'd handle?
Yes, disputes arising out of coalition arrangements would be within the jurisdiction of the PPDT. Yes.
All right. And I like the simplicity that you have this morning, making it simple for viewers to understand, because it's all about knowing. Because this time around, we're operating in a very different environment. We have a history nominations in this country, some that have not gone very well. This time around, it is even going to be different, because we have the amendments to the Political Parties Act that provides room for joint nominations. How that is going to work out is another big question, We will want to know how you're prepared for that as well. But before I get to that point, I just want to know about your structure as a tribunal. How many members? Is it a full-time tribunal? How do you operate?
Okay. So the tribunal's current composition, and I state current because the amendments that we'll be discussing soon that expands the structure, but currently as we sit, we have 7 members. 7 members would be the chairperson, and then we would have 4 advocates, and then 3 advocates and 3 non-lawyers. So it's a mix of skills, combining lawyers and non-lawyers, because it's a specialized tribunal, so we don't need only the lawyers on board, but also we need the experience and the expertise from other fields. So the tribunal sits currently centrally, headquarters is in Nairobi at Milimani Law Courts, but we'll be discussing the devolution or decentralization strategies that have been put in place. So the quorum for a sitting of the tribunal is a minimum of 3. So out of the 7, then that tells you clearly that we can only have 2 panels running at any one given time. Okay. Yeah, so that's how we moved in 2017. So we've got a secretariat at the Milimani Law Court, a very vibrant team, and then we have a CEO who is in charge of the secretariat. So basically that's our structure. We've got a strategic plan that we're running with. We're also working under the judiciary and together with the judiciary committee on elections, on matters preparedness, and we also have performance measurement understandings that we signed, the PMMU contracts with the judiciary.
All right, thank you for that.
On our performance.
So how has your, working environment changed courtesy of the amendments to the Political Parties Act? Has anything changed, or the structure and the operations of the tribunal remain the same?
Okay. Courtesy of the amendments, the structure has been expanded because one of the key things that the amendments come up with is the introduction of 18 ad hoc members. Ad hoc members meaning members who would be serving the tribunal temporarily for a period of 1 year, and this is to support the tribunal during this season. It's the busiest season for the tribunal in light of preparedness towards elections. So the 18 ad hoc members, together with the ones that we already have, and noting that the quorum is 3, it means that now we can have a maximum of 8 panels in place at any one given time. So it means that then we've spread our wings, we've spread our branches, and we're able to hear more people, we're able to diversify, we're able to devolve. So that has expanded. So that's one. The other impact on our amendments is that of the amendments on the PPDT is that it strengthened the enforcement capacity of the tribunal. What the amendments introduce or state is that currently we are able to punish for contempt. Should anybody act in contempt of the tribunal orders, the law has granted us that power, and that power is the one similar to what the High Court does. Yeah, so it's meant to at least give integrity and probity to the processes of the tribunal, to give confidence to the public that if you come before the tribunal and you have a determination in your favor, then you should expect implementation. And if there's no implementation, then there are also consequences to that. There are other few that come up, but I guess we will discuss them as we go along.
All right. This must be one of the busiest seasons for you as a tribunal. According to Iebc timelines, political party primaries are slated to be conducted between April 16th and April 22nd. So this season around April, March is going to be a very busy season for you as a tribunal. Yes. I just want you to talk to us about some of the measures you've put in place. Are you ready? For this particular journey, and also as you do that, we are looking at a very different nomination that we have not had in our country, courtesy of the amendments. There's going to be room for joint nominations, basing on the history of nominations in our country and how chaotic some of them have been. Are we ready to manage a joint nomination at this particular time?
Okay, first and foremost, allow me to clarify this. It is true the Iebc has come up with a calendar with timelines, but the dates over there are basically just the deadlines. Political parties are free to conduct their primaries, even as at now. But then again, we appreciate the reality is that they normally move in and do it towards the end of the deadline. Having said that, at the PPDT, yes, we are prepared for the 2022 pre-electoral dispute cycle. And our preparation started way back after the 2017, because what happens is that after 2017, you conduct an audit, you assess your operations, what went on well, what did not go on well, where do you need to improve on. So we've developed knowledge products out of this particular assessment. We had some reports that were coming up. We had stakeholders giving their feedback on our performance. And out of these knowledge products, we have a case digest, we have a 2017 pre-EDR report, we have stakeholders perception report. The common thread running within these documents, which are available in our website, are the areas we need to focus on for 2022, and this therefore has informed our preparedness for 2022. So one of the ones that were coming up were access to justice. In 2017, we were centrally located in Nairobi because we could only have 2 panels sitting. So it means that Kenyans had to come from all regions, all the way from their respective places to Nairobi. This impacted negatively on the right of the public to access to justice. Not everyone is able to afford transportation to Nairobi.
And even the time.
The time might not allow. We've got persons who are abled differently, who are inconvenienced by way of that particular process. So we took it upon ourselves, and what we are moving in this 2022 is that we are happy to state that we are now decentralizing our services, and gladly it's coming at a point that even our capacity has been enhanced by way of the 18 members that we are expecting to come. So what will happen is that we will not just be centrally located in Nairobi. We will be in many other regions, if I could mention a few. So we will be present in Mombasa, we will be present in Eldoret, we will be present in Kisumu, we will be present in Kakamega, we will be present in Nyeri, and we will be present in Meru. Yes. So these regions have been informed by the dynamics, and PPDT takes very seriously pre-electoral dispute resolution, because you may appreciate that nominations in certain regions are as good as an election. So normally it's very, very emotive, and we know the significance of handling disputes really efficiently and effectively at this stage. It helps in quelling at least the temperatures around, and just managing the situation.
And even the post-election,
correct.
Disputes. If it is managed well before the election, then we get less disputes after the election.
Indeed. And a typical example, you remember the 2007, so much happened to the negative because there were no structures that were there in place for pre-election. So access to justice, we have decentralized in the regions that I have mentioned. We have sub-registries with our contact people will be available. So you don't have to come all the way to Nairobi for our services. You will get support from those centers. We'll also be leveraging on technology. Nowadays, there is virtual courts. So you can actually even conduct a court proceeding from your house, from whichever place of convenience that you have. So we'll be leveraging on that also to also just enhance that decentralization.
Ms. Mungo, ideally, how long does it take, and what is the procedure in case a member of a political party or a member of a coalition feels aggrieved by a certain decision or something, and they want to present a case to petition that? What's the process, and how long does it take?
Okay. So once you're aggrieved by a political party's process, rule number 1, explore the internal mechanisms. Because if you don't, and you come directly to the PPDT, we will not have jurisdiction. And that is what the law says. So attempt the resolution mechanisms within the party. Each political party has its own constitution prescribing the timelines within which they resolve their disputes. Now, once you've exhausted that, and of course when I say that, I exclude appeals, because appeals, there is no internal mechanism. They can come directly to the tribunal. And I also exclude disputes between independent candidates and the parties, because they don't have a common constitution that binds them. So once you come to the tribunal, you come to the tribunal by way of filing a complaint, if it is any of those disputes I've mentioned, or by way of filing an appeal, if it is against the decision of the Registrar of Political Parties. We've simplified our processes such that we have forms to make it easy, because we appreciate that not every Kenyan can afford legal representation. So for the lawyers, they're already trained in this. They can quickly go through the regulations and draft their pleadings. But for the persons who are not legally trained or who don't have legal representation, we have forms, very simplified, in place, just asking you questions and you fill it in, and then most importantly, attach your supporting documents. So of course, if you have to identify yourself with the identity details, you've got to identify who you are complaining against, whether it's the party or your fellow member of the party, and then you've got to state what is the reason for your complaint. For example, if you're saying that nominations were conducted without adhering to the rules that have been put in place, then annex a copy of those rules or the constitution of the party that speaks to that. And yes, annex any documentary evidence that will demonstrate how the process was conducted. And then once you put in all documentation in place, then our internal processes will kick off. Now, on the timelines, you asked how long do we take?
Because we're working with deadlines of Iebc has deadlines, and
yes,
electoral processes are very.
That's very true.
Yeah. So how long?
Ideally, we normally have 3 months as granted by statute. I had mentioned our parent act is the Political Parties Act. It's the one that establishes the tribunal. We normally have 3 months within which to hear and determine our disputes. However, during the electioneering period, like the one we are currently approaching or facing, the Iebc is guided by timelines, and as you correctly stated, they have already come up with a timetable with deadlines that are put across. So as a tribunal, in as much as the law grants us 3 months, we don't have that luxury of 3 months, because we have to work and coordinate with other institutions. Remember, at the end of the day, we are all working towards a common goal. So we cannot sit and say that we have 3 months and yet Iebc is supposed to be submitting or certain information is supposed to be submitted to Iebc by 22nd of April, and those issues are subjects of disputes. So we normally ensure that we work within the calendar that Iebc provides. In 2017, for example, we had barely 2 weeks to listen to over 550 disputes. So it means that we sat both day and night and in the weekend, because we had to serve the public. And indeed, we did it today.
I want us to finish this conversation, but very quickly, we are going to be having joint nominations.
Yes.
From where you sit, what can you foretell as the scenario we are going to experience? Is it going to be practical for us? Are we ready as a country for that?
I think generally as a country, what we normally say is that we are such that we are resistant to change. But I think it's an opportunity to try, because for joint nominations, it calls for a lot of negotiations. So
But if a single political party cannot agree on their own candidates, how about now bringing in about 3 or 4 political parties to agree on a single candidate? Are we ready for that?
Yes, it's a challenge. It's going to be a major challenge, but that doesn't mean that we should not try it. Because if we're able to negotiate and deal, then it's better. It's much more. But at PPDT, all I can say is that we are prepared, because we know and appreciate the practicalities, the way you're trying to put it. Disputes about to arise out of such processes, and we will be open to consider what is presented before us.
Okay, that's all the time we had for this conversation. Of course, it's a long journey, and hopefully in the near future we'll be picking it up from here. As your final remarks, what can be done to curb or avert electoral disputes so that we don't get to the level of having 500 and what cases again?
Over 500.
Over 500 cases.
And that was just at the PPDT level. Remember, there was also the Dispute Resolution Committee, which had over 300, and the courts. And I forgot to state, because it's a question that you asked, once a party is dissatisfied with our determination, they have a right to appeal to the High Court.
Okay.
Yeah, so then the judiciary now processes kick in up to the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your final words.
Okay. So my final words is to call on parties generally. At the PPDT, I think we are prepared, not even I think, but I must state that we are ready. We already know the role that is ahead of us in terms of managing pre-electoral disputes, and we have prepared ourselves accordingly. I want to call on the public to be very aware of the internal dispute resolution mechanisms within political parties, because that is the first port of call. I would also call on political parties to make their internal dispute resolution mechanisms vibrant. Disputes that are resolved internally in an efficient and effective way are ordinarily more acceptable. In the event parties are dissatisfied, then we welcome them to the tribunal. We will be available to serve the public, and we assure the entire public that we will be guided by the merits of the matter that is presented before us, and we will take keen interest in dispensing justice to the public.
Thank you so much, Ms. Desma Nungo, an advocate.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
An advocate and the chairperson of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, just shedding light on what the tribunal has done in terms of preparedness for handling disputes emanating pre the August polls. Thank you so much for creating time for us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right. We're going to be shifting gears in just a bit. We're still on the road to the 2022 general election, so stay with us. When we come back, I'll be engaging leaders who are going to tell us what are some of the issues that ought to shape this coming general election. What should Kenyans focus on? So do stay with us for that and much more coming up after the break.
Kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali imetekeleza miradi kadhaa ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu kwa manufaa ya Wakenya. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
I have said it before, but I'll say it again. Kenyans made it clear that they want to live in decent homes.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amejali mtu wa chini sana, kwa sababu nyumba kama hizi ukienda ununue hata uwanja yako uanze kujenga itakukosti hata sana.
Siku hizi tunakaa makao mazuri, tunakaa nyumba nzuri. Zamani hatukuwa na choo, tulikuwa na tupa, lakini siku hizi hatutupi.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hamujatikanisha? Kwani mnamuvu suro aje?
Come on, just snap out of it. Please, you will kill us.
My people, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest barrier has been answered.
Now, that is a perfect example of a nightmare. Hey!
I know you should see her. She's mwah. Oh, there goes my time. Get my books and bring them to the staff.
Okay. Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Not once, but twice. Jimmy Havoc. Oh, no.
No, oh. Don't hold it
there with the...
Contra is everywhere. And when you least expect it, we just might bring the war to your front door.
LA Port, the Contra unit is about to give you your own Day of the Dead. Hell, Contra!
Kenneth, I'm told you come at the center, then I'll... Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is News Check in case you're just joining us, a program that seeks to explore issues shaping the news. Right now we are on the road to the 2022 general election, just 6 months to that particular date that was set by Iebc. It's actually less than 6 months as we count. And of course, key timelines issued by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, just to take you through them very quickly, by between 30th of May and 10th June this particular year, presidential candidates are supposed to submit their papers to Iebc. Campaigns are officially supposed to take off between 30th of May and end on 6th of August, 3 days to the general election. And commission aspirants, of course, had until last year, December, to raise funds for their campaigns. And of course, we saw public servants the other day resigning because the deadline for their resignation, those who have political ambitions, the deadline for their resignation was 8th of February 2022. And a lot is going to be happening on this road to the 2022 general election. But even as we look at the timelines and the date of the match that has been set to be 9th of August 2022, what are some of the issues that are shaping this year's election? And leaders who are coming up to vie and tell us that they want to lead this nation, what are they planning to do to, address some of the issues that Kenyans are facing? And to discuss that with me this morning, I'm having a panel of two gentlemen. I'll bring them on board right now just to introduce the gentleman on my far left. His name is Alex Gadhi. Alex is an aspirant for the Tetu parliamentary seat, and of course he'll tell us a bit more about himself and what makes him feel that he has what it takes to become the member of parliament. And of course I have Kenneth Kinara Nyamwamu, also an aspirant for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat, and I deliberately leave his profile out so that I give him a chance to tell us why he thinks and feels that time is ripe for him to become Nairobi's next governor. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for creating time for us. Ordinarily, I would have brought in the profile, but I feel like for this interview, I want to deliberately give you a chance to tell us why. But before we get to that particular point, I just want to understand, because every time we go into an electioneering period, we focus on the people and the political parties and the mergers and the coalitions and forget about what is ailing us as a country. Yes. Then right after the election, we wake up and we realize the issues such as, joblessness, poverty, disease, we still have those issues. So why did we queue and spend our time on the campaign trail and voted on that particular day and invested so much money in that exercise, yet nothing has changed about us? So I'll begin this conversation by just getting a cocktail of both your responses. I'll begin with you, Alex. What do you think is the biggest challenge that Kenyans are facing right now, even challenges depending on how you see it, that any leader who wants to vie or comes up should address?
Thank you so much for having me. As you have said, my name is Gadhi and I'm vying for Tetu parliamentary seat. I could probably give my...
First of all, let's begin by you telling us a bit more about yourself. I think it's fair that way.
Yes. Alex Gadi, I'm vying for Teto parliamentary seat. I'm the former personal assistant to Nobel laureate Professor Wangari Maathai. We used to work with her in Teto. And actually, Teto was voted the best constituency then. And it has declined over years. I'm also a certified cow signal trainer. I'm also a USA champion of change. I was given by President Barack Obama, somebody who can change the society. I'm a champion of change. I'm a graduate of the University of Nairobi. I'm also an alumni of the prestigious Galilee College, the way I started about the dairy production and processing for 2 years. I'm also from a certified cow signal trainer in the Netherlands. So I've worked in Teto for quite many projects. I've done a lot of community projects, and I think I'm the MP in waiting for Teto.
Whether that is enough for you to become the next MP is a question I'll be asking you in just a bit, but just also let's allow Kenneth to tell us a bit more about himself. Kenneth?
So my name is Kenneth Kinara Nyamwamu, and I'm vying for Governor, County of Nairobi. A little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from University of La Sierra University in the United States, Riverside County. And I also have a master's degree in data analytics from the University of Maryland. I'm vying for this governorship post because I think, there's an issue raised about people getting swept with the euphoria. When the elections are here, people get swept in the euphoria. The party that has the most euphoria probably will get the most people elected, but then they don't look at what's that guy bringing on the table. Then 5 years in, you hear comments like, this guy has wasted our time, this guy done this. So I want to bring services to the people.
Right.
I think Nairobi residents have gotten a road deal for a long time. We only have people, for example, we have aspirants that are vying for governor of Nairobi with very questionable backgrounds. We have one guy that is called a COVID billionaire that's plastered posters all over Nairobi.
But Kenneth, I want us to twist this conversation a little bit. My aim is not to talk about the people or the political parties. I actually want us to focus on the issues, because that is what we are trying to fix. And if you look at this particular general election, and I'll go back to you, Alex, as I come to you, Kenneth, what is it that Kenyans need? What are the issues? Because you've cited that you have aspirations to become leaders come August. Do you know what Kenyans need? That's my question. Let me begin with you, Alex.
That's a good question. And elections in and out. We have been having slogans. We have been having promises. We'll build so many stadiums. We'll grow the GDP by this. We'll create so many jobs. But that has not happened. What are the lead issues? The farmers... Especially
for people in your constituency.
Yes. In Teto, they want to see the coffee prices go up so that they can have money. The tea prices in the tea auction, so that better tea prices at the auction, so that they can have good earnings from their tea. They also want to see healthcare. The hospitals having ambulances, like now in Wamagana Health Center, there is no ambulance. You can imagine, there's an MP, there's a governor, there's national government. People are dying in Wamagana Hospital. And actually, this is an appeal now to the CS, Kagwe, and even the governor, that we bring an ambulance in Wamagana. In Nyeri, for instance, the majority of Nyeri hospitals have no medicine. So people want better healthcare, better education system. The CBC is trying, and I'm worried that some of the politicians are saying are going to scrap it. As much as we parents, we are having a hard time with it. Why should we scrap something good? So I have an issue with that. So when somebody says that they're going to scrap CBC, we are not in very safe hands. So in Teto, agribusiness, we have planted a lot of avocado, we have macadamia, we have other horticulture products. We want to look for better markets, better earnings for our farmers. better roads. Like now the president has done the Mau Mau roads. I think that's an eye-opener. It's opening the whole of that region in Teto. Teto has proximity to Mount Kenya, to Aberdare ecosystem, the Aberdare forest. Are we taking advantage of the green economy? As an MP, I'll be able to double the Teto economy by growing the green economy.
Kenneth, I am a resident of Nairobi, and I asked this question, and I'm waiting to hear. Do you know what the residents of Nairobi need? What are the issues on the table for you?
So I've been doing a lot of groundwork, and I've walked throughout Nairobi. And the issues were coming over and over again. We went to Njiru, we went to the Kibera area. They are asking about water, they are asking about good roads, sewage systems. Nairobi needs order in the transportation system. We are not going to cancel, we don't plan to cancel the transportation system, but we need to improve it so that, we cause decongestion. Congestion has become an issue of Nairobi. But the people, especially in the informal places, in the informal settlements, they are looking for electricity. They are looking for accessible roads. They are looking for better sewerage systems. And they are part of Nairobi County. I don't see why Nairobi County can't provide these services to them. And I come in as a unique candidate because I have listened to the people, and in the first 100 days, those things are going to be delivered. Yes.
But we've had this before, and I just want to know whether you feel the systems have failed, because we've seen the current, leadership of the county has done quite a lot in terms of trying to decongest the city, moving bus parks to outside the concentrated CBD, introducing the railway system of transportation. And also we've seen a lot of effort by the president to make sure that the informal settlements have health facilities under the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Do you feel that there could be a problem with the structures and the initiatives that have been put in place so far?
Those are very good initiatives, and they need to be improved on. For example, you mentioned the healthcare facilities. They've been built, but now we need to make sure they're equipped. We need to make sure that they are well staffed, So, and what I'm talking about is just not empty promises.
So what is different? What is that difference that you're going to bring that Nairobi residents have?
The first thing I'll say is this. I am a candidate that is not being sponsored by any corporation or anybody. I have lived in Nairobi. I have experienced those problems, and I want to be in a position of power to deliver that to the people. Everywhere I've gone, they've said, you're the first governor that has come to talk to us. That shows an element of caring. I care about the people of Nairobi. I am not just putting slogans, I'm not just putting billboards, I'm not just, I'm walking and going to the people and listening to their problems. And if you look at my manifesto has attempted solutions to this problem. So it's not an empty promise. Just by virtue of me going to these places, especially in the informal places like Landimawe, Njiru, Kibera, just by going to these places shows that I'm listening to what the people are looking for.
All right. Let me come back to you, Alex. You, the former personal assistant to Professor Wangari Maathai, you also won in 2021 the Go Green Lifetime Achievers Award, and also USAID Champion for Change. Apart from that, residents of Tetu constituency want to know, what is it that you have done for us that can make us trust you with this mantle?
Thank you. It's very important to understand. By the way, I was working as a personal assistant when she was the member of parliament for Teto. So I know Teto in and out. I know the challenges that are there. And the work of a member of parliament is to mobilize resources. And for your information, Teto is a very marginalized constituency. In fact, it's supposed to be scrapped. That's what the constitution is saying. And that's why the BBI was there to safeguard Teto among other constituencies. And it's a very important constituency. The work of a member of parliament is to mobilize resources from development partners, from national government, from county government, and also from the national kitties within parliament. That has not happened. The work of a member of parliament is to do lobbying. I want to surprise you, and I want to declare that Teto is the most marginalized constituency in Kenya. We have never produced a governor, the whole of Nyeri, all the governors who have been there, not a deputy governor, not a senator, not a women rep, not the speaker of National Assembly, not even the majority leader in the Nyeri County government. If that is not marginalization, if that is not definition of a marginalization, we have only produced one CEC to the government of Nyeri County.
But you see, we
that is total marginalization.
Still, we cannot, as a country, afford to have every community represented in leadership. The positions in leadership. But you have really
seen
should we then redefine?
You have seen negotiated democracies in the northeastern places where this clan produces the governor. The next time is this clan. This clan produces the senator. This clan produces the women rep. If the northeastern are able to come up with what we call a negotiated democracy, why is Teto so marginalized that we cannot produce a governor, a deputy governor, a senator, a women rep, even the CEC in the county government? Why don't we even have the speaker of the county assembly, even the majority speaker? We are so marginalized to the level that I feel like I need to take up the mantle.
We can see the passion.
Yes.
But then, do you think we should redefine how we look at leadership, though? Because from my understanding, a leader should be able to serve each and every person regardless of whether they come from their community or not. If you're a governor, every person in that county, whether they come from which constituency, should actually feel the influence of your leadership. So should we redefine how we look at leadership to solve this problem, or should we aspire to have every community represented in the leadership? Can we even afford to achieve that?
Absolutely, that's what you're saying is right. But I want to give you some homework. Go to the constituency county development integrated plans for the last 10 years. Teto has received the lowest amount of funding from the county government. Even from the national government, we have received very low amounts of money. We have been having MPs for the last 20 years. The best MP was Honorable Kanywa Ithaka, the late Kanywa Ithaka. Other than that, Professor Wangari Maathai tried, and also FT tried a little bit. We have never had a very good MP for Teto, and that is what I want to be. Somebody who can advocate, somebody who can represent his people, somebody who can be able to mobilize development partners for projects.
All right. I'll come back to you, Kenneth, for just a little bit. You're a registered nurse and a professional data analyst, owner and CEO of Elite Staffing Agency in Michigan, USA, and spent quite a lot of time abroad.
Yes.
You want to become Nairobi's next governor.
Yes.
People have concerns about whether you relate with the issues at home, having spent majorly most of your years away. How have you managed to connect with the issues on the ground? How will you convince them that they can trust you with this mantle?
I think it's a big misconception. First of all, I'm a Kenyan at heart. I've always been a Kenyan. I come home every year. I've done projects. I educate. I pay school fees for people in my area. I have helped people set up businesses. So I'm connected in the Kenyan community. If you look at most of our elected people in parliament, a lot of them are educated abroad. Uhuru Kenyatta was educated in the U.S. Raila was is educated abroad. Almost 80 or 90% of our representation of our politicians, they are all people who are educated abroad. So, I mean, I'm no different. I'm a Kenyan, and I'm connected to the Kenyan issues. I've listened to, I've gone all over Nairobi and listened to the problems. So I think I come with a unique asset because I have lived outside. I've seen how service delivery is done outside. I've seen how it's done in Kenya, and I know if we can merge some policies here and there or tweak policies here and there, we can improve our service delivery. So I see it as an asset and not as a problem, actually.
As a problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, that's all the time we had for this conversation. But now Kenyans know who you are and, of course, what you have to offer. And that's how we wrap it up. Thank you so much, Alex Kadhi, a politician, Tetu parliamentary seat aspirant, and Kenneth Kinara Nyamwamu, also an aspirant for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Right now, we just want to listen in to what is happening right now at the 12th KEMRI Annual Scientific Health Conference. The chief guest, CAS Rashid Aban, is currently speaking. Let's listen into that.
Continue to be a lead player in this area. I'm informed that this conference, I think I said that, as a ministry, we are delighted when great minds come together to discuss health issues, and particularly on how we can deal with pandemics such as the one we are currently in. The pandemic has taught us that in unity we can succeed. And I think that applies in everything that we do. KEMRI as a research institution must reach out and work with others. If we are to develop a research culture in this country, we require KEMRI to reach out and work with academia. We must develop and inculcate research in academia. We will not move far if we don't have that base of research and development in academia. And I think KEMRI is well placed to do that. Yes, we do have some research going on in our universities and so on, but not enough, I believe. And I think we need to broaden that base, and KEMRI can play a strong role in that area. I'm happy to note that our research capacity has greatly improved. And I'm confident that as a government, we will continue to support KEMRI to ensure that we effectively and swiftly deal with future pandemics and any other health threats that may come by. It is also equally gratifying for me to officiate in commissioning of 2 research products or innovations, namely the Malaria Rapid Diagnostic Kit, branded Plasmo Check, and the PCR COVID-19 testing kit, branded ChemCov PCR, both of which were developed by our own distinguished scientists at KEMRI. These 2 kits, I'm sure, will go a long way in improving malaria diagnostics and COVID-19 disease detection, which remain our foremost health challenges, not just in Kenya, but globally. And I do hope that these products that locally produced by KEMRI are of highest standard possible, have been validated, and that we can use them. If you look at the number of tests that we have done during this COVID period, which is still below the 1% required by WHO, but I believe we have done well over 3 million, running almost to 4 million tests. Those of you who are in this field know how costly these tests are, especially the PCR test. I do hope that this product of KEMRI will be able to outcompete the other products in the market by its costing and its quality. And in that way, we can guarantee that the ministry will still be able to utilize that. I want to congratulate the team and leadership for having taken up the challenge by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta to come up with solutions to our local problems. These 2 products, I think, are testament to the fact that KEMRI has taken up this challenge and realized some products. I want to assure you all that my ministry will support KEMRI with not only the continued production of these kits, but will also be the main consumer of these products to ensure continuous research and improvement now and in the future. And again, I want to stress that we must make sure that these products are of the highest possible standard and quality. Ladies and gentlemen, these innovations that we shall commission shortly are true demonstration of the KEMRI spirit. I understand that KASH is a forum that serves to promote health science through dialogue and exchange among scientists, health practitioners, development partners, and policymakers, and that its findings, conclusions, and recommendations directly contribute to the national discourse on not just managing pandemics, but also a reflection on our universal health coverage journey, among other key developments. I challenge you, as the KEMRI fraternity, to do more in other areas of research to address the many health challenges we face in Kenya. And I think by partnering with others, I know that we have over the years developed strong collaborative links with many partners, some of whom are here with us today. You also do work, and I once again encourage you to extend your collaborations with our academic institutions and the training of our young people to create those critical mass of people that we need to move our country technologically ahead. Let this year's theme of building a resilient health sector through investments in data science, research evidence, technology, and innovation be a new beginning for us in the health sector. We all know that the true test of research is whether people use it, either for reference, for influence, but most importantly, for change that improves our lives. And I look forward to robust discussions that result in solutions that are not just timely, but responsive and result-oriented to our current realities in our health systems. It is now my honor and pleasure to declare this 12th KASH conference officially open. That is duty number one.
All right, that is Health CAS, Dr. Rashid Aman, who is the chief guest at the 12th KEMRI Annual Scientific and Health Conference currently underway. We got our health reporter, Purity Museo, there for us. She will be giving us a detailed report about what is happening. But the CAS, they are just touching on how the government has really invested in supporting KEMRI and, of course, making sure that in the future, the institution will be able to assist in managing pandemic, such as right now when we are the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic. KEMRI has been very pivotal in terms of research and providing information that has helped us as a country to manage this particular health crisis, and also talking about how the ministry is going to be the main consumer of KEMRI products, and we will be getting more details about how this partnership has been going on and how it will succeed in the near future from Purity Museo. Now, we want to shift gears right here on the program on News Check, and on this particular segment, I understand, I'm told we take a very short break, but we'll be back with much more. Remember, we are going to be talking about empowering the vulnerable in the community. In just a bit, I'll be engaging Newton Ogada, the director of God Will Provide a Children's Home, and he will be telling us more about how this can work, what he has done, and lessons that we can borrow from just how we can be able to elevate the lives of those who are vulnerable in the society in just a bit. For now, we take a break.
Mundos tibios una sombra de traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying.
Oh my goodness. You scared me. Auntie!
I know you wouldn't say anything to your parents. You'd rather keep it from them, pretending to be happy.
What kind of attitude is that? I must have been insane to let my sister marry you. Sure!
You think you can bully my son, huh? In your dreams. Go back to your parents and never come back!
Are you gonna spend the rest of your life with that boring woman just to maintain your reputation? If you ever miss me, come find me.
Ili kupata skiza tune ya imani yako kwenye simu yako, dial *811 *961#.
Imani ni bayana ya mambo yanayotarajiwa. Unayaita mambo yasiyokuwepo kama yalipo. Imani ni kuchukua umbo la kitu unachokitamania, ima kwa mbali au kwa karibu. Lakini ijapo katika mambo ya kuhatikia, basi unajibunia mambo hayo mwenyewe. Lingine muhimu ni kuwa iwapo hauipendi barabara
kupata imani yako kama skiza tune, dial *811 *961#. Kumbuka ni *811 *961#.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. And now we just want to shift gears a little bit and talk about how you can extend a helping hand and what role you can be able to do to just help that vulnerable person in your community. And I want to do this together with a man who has been doing this for quite a while and understands the needs and the challenges that people who are vulnerable in the community face. His name is Newton Ogada. Newton is the director of an organization that helps widows and orphans. It's called God Will Provide. Thank you, Newton, for creating time for us.
Thank you once again. Thanks again for welcoming me again to be here, and we discuss what's happening in the ground.
All right.
Yes.
So I want to take you there on the ground.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of inspiration that you had for you to decide to do what you're doing right now. You're telling me right now you are supporting over 2,000 widows in your locality. Talk to me about your entry point into this. What inspired? What did you see that motivated you to do what you do today?
This thing is God-given. That's how I can say, and it's not our job. It is something that came from me, because you know we grew up in a poor family, poor environment. I call it humble family. And that's what brought me to, like, whenever I get a chance to support, I will support, because I know the pain when people are going through difficulties and poverty and sickness, So it's something that I went through, and that now I am not happy seeing many people going through what I went through again. That's why I'm really working so hard to make sure that I meet the target on supporting our people.
So what are these unique issues that people, say in Homa Bay and Kisumu County, for instance, where you operate, are going through, the challenges that the vulnerable are going through? What are these issues for you?
Yesterday, on Sunday, I think, I went to visit a certain widow in her home. I found she's having something, I cannot call it a house, because it's a roof, a thatch roof house, and it's really raining. Whenever the rain comes, you have to take her blanket and put under bed, and she go by the side of the house not to be rain. And another time she don't have food, I went there when she was really sick, and nobody was there to take her to the hospital. She had no food. There's a lot of challenges that families go through down there. And at the same time, I found like around a 14-year-old girl who is out of school because of school fee, and she's living with this grandpa in the house. So it's kind of terrible and difficult life that people are going through. So it's a diverse thing. It is not one. Some people have problem with sickness. Some people have problem with school fee. Some people have problem with the housing. Some people, like the majority, we don't have job down there. Yeah. So it's something huge.
When you visit these homes and you see what the unfortunate circumstances that some of these families are forced to survive in, what goes through your mind? What goes through your heart?
Most of the time I cry because I see this lady's kind of around 60, 70 years old. And she's going through this because she lost the family. She lost her son, she lost her husband, and nobody's there to stand in for her. So when you get in there, you start thinking, what if this was my mother? Or what if this is my wife and I'm no longer there with my children, you know? So it's so painful to carry. It is something that you have to get in and start helping. Whether you have money or you don't have money, you can start even with feeding first. You must find, okay, this is the situation. What can I give? Can I give food now, and then tomorrow I start looking for some finances to help, you know? So there's a lot. Like the girl that I'm talking about, next time I'm taking her to my school, where I will monitor her, I will stay with her, I will make sure she gets the best education, because she might be the future of that family. Yeah.
True. Do you think we live in a society that is sensitive to such? Do you think we have enough ogadas in the community, if I may use that, you know, people just suffering next to you? Do you think people are sensitive to such?
No, I think people lost the love that should be there. People lost it. Because even the place I was, there are some neighboring homes which are really well built. There are some people driving, there are some people doing a lot. But nobody cares. I think we reach a point that most of us only think about themselves. They don't think beyond the wall. They only see it is me and my family, you know. But I wish we could have several people like me in the community, because it is heavy for one person to carry it, you know. Yeah.
There are people who desire to be there, desire to help, but they ask themselves, I don't have enough even for myself. Where will I get the extra to share with somebody else? What are some of the tips that you can share in terms of building that giving culture?
There was a woman in the Bible who was having remained with only unga for one night. And when the man of God visited him and said, I'm hungry, she had to cook for this person, and then God give. You cannot just sit there saying you don't have enough to support. You can share whatever little you have with somebody, and then from there God will actually give you. Because whenever you keep on giving, God will actually keep on giving you. Because God knows whenever you receive, it is not yours alone. Even me, I'm not perfect, I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire, but being I keep on crying and giving out, I see God keep on blessing me, and God keep on introducing me to people who are seeing the fact that we are going through a lot of issues, you know, and then they support me, then I work. Like the lady I'm talking about, already somebody will send me the money, and I'm going back home today, so tomorrow I'm going to build a home.
All right, you're telling me right now you're reaching out to about 2,000 widows, and how many children?
At the orphanage,
yes,
my capacity allows me only to have 50. But my school, I think I have another 100 who are coming from their areas, and they just come to school.
All right. Yes. How did you start, and has it been a walk in the park for you?
It has not been easy.
Yeah.
And it's something which comes with a sleepless night. I started very humble. When I was here in Nairobi, I think I shared this long time ago, I went back home and started doing tree nursery, and out of tree nursery I registered CBO, and from there the first money I got I started using it, and that's how we came up to have God will provide now, and we have been moving in faith. Yeah, so it has not been that easy.
What are some of the low moments that you have experienced in this journey, the challenges you have gone through that has at some point took you to your breaking point? You almost
truth of the matter that challenges is every day in this journey. I wake up in my house, I found I have like 30 people. They're all widows. If you look at their faces, they really need. And sometimes I have nothing in my pocket. Sometimes I talk with my wife to go and look if you have enough food, we can just give them even maize to make them move. At times, I get this request for the housing.
All right. Sorry to cut you short, but I'll come back to you in just a bit. I just want us to catch something very quickly. I understand the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Wafula Chebukati, is giving directions concerning the hearing they were having this morning with Murang'a woman representative Sabina Shege concerning her claims of voter rigging in the upcoming general election. Let's listen into what the chairperson is saying.
As the one before it has been the subject of litigation in the High Court in Nairobi, Judicial Review Miscellaneous Application number 592 of 2017, Republic versus Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, in the matter of the Honorable Attorney General and Honorable Jessica Mbalu, ex parte Professor Philip Kaloki, where the court, while hearing a judicial review application filed by Professor Philip Kaloki challenging the jurisdiction of the Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee on grounds similar to the current objections, reiterated that the provisions of Section 110 of the Elections Act on the observance and enforcement of the Electoral Code of Conduct it reiterated the provisions of Section 110 of the Elections Act on the observance and enforcement of the Electoral Code of Conduct. It outlined the powers of the committee and concluded that the committee was right in executing its mandate. Further, that the committee is not bound by the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code and the Evidence Act. The court, upon examination, found that the procedure followed by the committee and the decision rendered was within its powers and thus upheld the same. The court declined to issue the order sought by the applicant and dismissed the petition.
Without opposition.
Against this background, the Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee has jurisdiction and is legally seized of the matter before it for hearing and determination. We make the following orders. 1, that the preliminary objection raised by counsel for the respondent on 15th February 2022 is hereby dismissed. And 2, this matter shall proceed to full hearing. Dated 15th February 2022. Those are our orders. We can give you copies of the ruling. And this is a case referred to, referred to in the ruling. And I direct that the matter proceeds for hearing. Mr. Owie.
Mr. Chairman, just Mr. Chairman, we have had the ruling. However, since this is our first hearing, ask the commission time now.
All right, that is a session currently underway at the Anniversary Towers, an examination of Murang'a County Woman Representative Honorable Sabina Shege by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Of course, she's being tasked to shed some light concerning some remarks she made recently concerning allegations of voter rigging, concerns that she has concerning voter rigging. We will be getting the direction by Iebc from Kamche Menza. She's attending this session for us in our subsequent news bulletins. But to get back to our conversation in studio, we are just talking about empowering the vulnerable in the society. I'm engaging Newton Ogada, the director of God Will Provide. Thank you so much for creating time for us once again. And before we went to Anniversary Towers, you were telling me about how it has not been a walk in the park for you since you began this initiative to assist those who are vulnerable in your community. Just finalize on that and then, just pick up from that particular point.
Yeah, it has not been easy because when at times things are happening like helping people in the community, people think you have the money. Some people came with fixed mind that you will help them, you know. And sometimes it's hard on my family too. I don't have the money. I cannot manage. But I thank God, even though it was been so difficult, I've been moving. I've been pushing day by day, and I see many things are happening through our hands. I see many lives has been changed through us. I've seen, and I have report that sometimes they come and tell me, we thank you for this. We thank God for all what has been happening, you know. So I came to learn that there's nothing easy in any direction. Whenever you want to do something concerning supporting anybody, you should not wait to have, because there's no single day that you will have it. Even if you have it, if you don't, it won't be enough. Because whenever you have it, the plans are still coming up, and then whatever you have will be a little again, you know. So whenever you want to help, you just start helping with whatever little you have.
All right, you just start, and then you
move
know,
on.
as you move, something will come up. Newton, you know, we are having this conversation at a time when we are in this busy electoral process, and I know leaders will be coming out to, you know, give promises on the campaign trail. In fact, they've started already, you know, doing that. Do you have a feeling that sometimes the problems people are going through, they take advantage of those problems to ascend to power, and yet they do not have the genuine heart to assist? Should we re-examine how we look at our leaders at this time?
The problem we have in this country is poverty. When you're poor, you can elect because somebody given you money. And you will never elect somebody who is having an idea on how they can help. So I believe that we have good leaders who can do much in the community, much in the constituency level, county level, even in country level. But the problem is we are poor. And when people are poor, those who are blessed to have some little money, they take advantage of that. They help you knowing that you are going to help them back, and then they make themselves richer than before, and they become the rulers. I was here last election. I've been in this country for many elections, and I've heard what our able leaders and politicians have been promising the voters, that if I am being elected, I'm going to do this. I just gave you a recent example of a woman that I'm going to build a house tomorrow. This lady is a voter, and she voted severally, as she has been voting. And by the time our leaders want votes, they will go even to such kind of homes and promise that whoever you voted me in, I'm going to make it this better and that better. I thought the time they are voting, they are campaigning, they don't know how much is in the political office. So they just promise beyond what they should be getting to support the people. Then number two, the issue of giving money to be elected. In my mother tongue, they call it gonya. This issue is becoming so worse, because you will find when somebody wants to vie in a political position, the people will make you to use millions of money. By the time you get to the power, you want back your money. So that's why you will not fix the road, because you are entitled. You are trying to reimburse where you get the money, because some people go through even taking loan just for the campaign because it's too expensive. So the way I've been seeing this thing, it is both of us. It is the electorate and it is the leaders.
So what is your message to both?
My message should start with our leaders that don't give money. Sell your policy and then let people decide. When people decide, now you will do. But when you bribe your way on giving money, then there's a way that you are going to get back your money. And from where? From which pocket? Another question that I think it should be put in order is that whenever gives money for an election post cannot be allowed to vie.
I think it's already enshrined in law. Voter bribery is already a crime.
They use it in a way that nobody can be arrested and taken to court because they say we are giving them some tea.
All right.
So you cannot. They have to go another way around. And you see, when they go another way around, then we don't get good leaders. And again, there's something that I will point before I finish, that the political parties sometimes give us people that we don't want. People that cannot help the community. They don't have any background of supporting, any background of improving. And again, let me tell you, after election, we should come back, those who are being elected, to look for the future of our children, because we are in our way of exit. Then we still have some people who are coming. they are in school. Can we look, how can we help these people to get better education, to create job opportunity, so that we can meet the target of economy? Then from there, I think the country will be just okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this conversation. I want to give you a chance to give us your final remarks. What's your way forward? What are you hoping to do? You told me you were trying to diversify and sort of help the community to be self-sustaining, to be independent.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it that you're doing as your next, step?
My next step is I'm trying to find a way where I can get enough fertilizer for my people. I can get more seedlings for my people, and then I'm planning to have dairy farming in a way that I can give the widows the dairy cows, so they can produce milk, sell the milk, and they survive by themselves. And again, on 26th of this month, I'm pleading, I want to launch the girl child education. We want to stop this early pregnancy in our county. Remember, we were number 2 in the country of the girls who are dropping out from school. This is something that we need to create time to discuss and teach our parents and our children, to go through. Because now you're a lady, you're a woman. If you went through it and then you could not even be here today, you could be somewhere else. But we can work out something. So given chance again, we'll have a time to discuss more and to make sure that we come up with people together to have the new generation.
All right. Thank you so much, Newton Ogada, for creating time for us. Newton is the director of God Will Provide. It is an organization based in Homa Bay and Kisumu County, assisting widows and orphans. Thank you so much once again for your time. All right. We will be, crossing over to yet another segment right here on News Check. Today we're talking about also financial wellness, just to help you understand how you can manage your money in a better way so that you can be financially free. And I'll be sharing tips courtesy of my guest who will be joining me shortly concerning that in just a bit. We are going to be taking a very short break. Don't go too far. We still have more lined up ahead for you.
Theirs will never be paradise again. Ain't no romance without finance.
Let's make this place as chaotic as possible.
Mtapostpone rights zao watoto mpaka lini?
I'm not your in-law. I'm not cut out for domestic work.
And you still wonder why your marriage is in shambles?
Unatumiaga moyo kufikiria badala ya akili.
The Wadis and the Jemedaris will always be a family. And you, Christine, will remain to be an outsider.
Kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali imetekeleza miradi kadhaa ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu kwa manufaa ya Wakenya. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
I have said it before, but I'll say it again. Kenyans made it clear that they want to live in decent homes.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amejali mtu wa chini sana, kwa sababu nyumba kama hizi ukienda ununue hata uwanja yako uanze kujenga itakukosti hata sana.
Siku hizi tunakaa makao mazuri, tunakaa nyumba nzuri. Zamani hatukuwa na choo, tulikuwa na tupa, lakini siku hizi hatutupi.
All right, welcome and thank you for staying with us on News Check today. Of course, a very comprehensive program that right now also wants to take a different direction. We are talking about financial wellness this morning. I'm engaging Maureen Radoli. Maureen is the head of Personal Finance Management Program at Centonomy Limited. Thank you, Maureen, for creating time for us.
Thank you for having me, Sophie. It's a pleasure.
And who else could we have for such a topic? Financial wellness. Everyone wants to be financially well anyway. So we want to understand a few tips on how to manage our money. It's a crisis. Money is a good thing, but managing it is a crisis. And I want us to start by just understanding from your perspective the word income. What is it in simple terms? What are some of the sources and types of income so that we know what we are worth?
Yeah.
So that before we get to how we're supposed to be spending. So what are we worth? How should we calculate that?
All right. So the first question was, what is an income? So an income is basically what you get after offering either a service or selling a good or creating an idea or even putting your money somewhere. Yeah. So that brings us back to the types of income. So we have two main types of income. So we have active income and passive income. When I say active income, for example, I'm employed. So what I earn from my employer is basically an active income. When you talk about passive income, you're looking at where you put your money. It doesn't really require you to be there directly offering any kind of service or even giving out any kind of effort for you to get some money. So what you do is put your money there or utilize your skill and then you start earning some money pole pole.
Whether you are there or not.
Whether you're there or not.
Still earn.
But you don't have to be directly there. So we're looking at dividends, for example, and I know people are very familiar with SACCOs. People are familiar with the stock market. I know you've heard about it. Yeah. And in most cases, when you're watching news and you get to the business segment, guys are like,
it's very serious.
Not my cup of tea.
It's really useful.
It is very useful. And what we say at Centonomy is financial literacy is a skill that everyone must have, because it helps you start creating money and developing relationships with your money in a way that's not what you're used to seeing. Because yes, you're earning money, but you start thinking in terms of, I need to start putting some money aside, and not just putting some money aside, but putting that money aside for the purposes of either helping me or growing an income or probably preserving your capital. Because when I'm talking about preserving your capital, I want to be as basic as possible when I'm using these terms. So for example, there are three main reasons to why we need to start saving or putting money aside.
I don't want us to go fast.
Yes.
I have savings.
Yes.
Because that's also another big elephant in the room.
Yes.
Before we get to savings, let's stick with the income part a little bit. And I just want us to know what's the danger of not having a balance between your active income and your passive income, and what is a good balance? How do you achieve that good balance?
So the danger is, look at how most Kenyans, including myself, my salary cannot sustain me entirely. Why I'm saying it cannot sustain me entirely is because I have goals and aspirations as a person. I'm a mother, so I have a family to think about. I know I'm going to get to an age, and where I am, I'm actually critically thinking about retirement wherever I am right now. My space, the space that I am in life currently, I'm seriously thinking about retirement.
Really?
Yes.
At this time, you don't look like you're going to.
But that's where my mindset is.
Yeah.
It could be. It's just that we don't talk about our age, especially after Valentine's happened yesterday. Anyway, so I'm thinking about retirement. So what I'm earning now, is it sustaining me to think about that? I have children that are going to school. I have 3 boys. One is just about to get to high school. I need to make sure I have that kind of money. What am I doing towards that? So is the income that you're earning right now, me and the viewer, is that income that we are earning right now sustaining the kind of dreams, aspirations that we have as a person? So that's where you start thinking about now. Now that's where the question comes in. Is the balance between having an income and having a passive income really necessary? It's important for us to have that conversation, because the other thing would be, get my budget, get my money, start working out on a budget. We have the big tickets. We have school fees, we have rent, we have transport, which is very expensive in Nairobi. What else is food in the house? There we have utilities. Most of us are working women and working husbands, so we need somebody to help us back at home. And of course, there's the minimum wage that we need to be paying our nannies at home, which is about 13,000 to 14,000 Kenyan shillings, depending on where you are. So if you work out your budget, does it meet every need that you have?
It rarely does.
It rarely does.
Yeah.
So the other question would be, okay, fine, let me make a few adjustments on my budget. And sometimes it might never really get to a break-even point because you realize that the needs or expenses are quite high. So you're forced to now start looking for another way of making money. And that's why we are talking about passive income. Yes.
All right. So passive income is that income that you build, that you sort of, I like saying your money will work for you even if you're not there.
Good point.
All
yes,
right.
Yes.
So let's talk about what you've just brought out, you know, that budgeting, and that takes me to the expenditure. Many people say it's never enough what you get. Even if you were earning 30K, it's not enough.
Never enough.
You're given a pay hike, salary increment, you're earning now 60. It's still not enough.
Yeah.
You'll be earning 100. It will still not be enough. Why is this the situation?
The mindset is a very big issue here because I'm a human being, and naturally once I get more money, I start thinking of a better lifestyle. When I talk about a better lifestyle, which is not healthy, let me say better lifestyle in quotes, because I'll think of probably driving a better car, moving from wherever I'm staying to a more expensive place. We call them posh or leafy suburb areas where probably my rent will shoot from maybe I used to pay 6,000 to about 20,000 because there's that mentality issue, and it really messes up with the kind of income that we earn. This is what I keep on telling people and my fellow Kenyans. Let me tell you, nobody cares about what you eat. Nobody cares about where you sleep. Nobody cares whether you go to work on foot or driving or using public means. Nobody cares.
But still nobody wants to underlive.
It's the that's why I'm saying it's a mindset issue, and this needs to shift completely. And when people come to class, for example, at St. Anna, because that's what we basically do, we equip you with the right skills to do that. We start working on your mindset. Because now stop thinking about what people will say about you, which is a big problem that most of us suffer from. The image, the outlook, what will people say about me, and start focusing on what do I want as a person. And you realize that the conversation that we'll have today will boil down to what do you really want as a person. When you're talking about budgeting, we're not saying jifinye mpaka you sweat, jifinye mpaka people will start laughing at you. No,
Life
no.
is short, you live today. You
We're
don't
not
know
talking
about
about
tomorrow.
that. Yes. You can still look good.
Say
yes.
As to justify why they just spend without thinking, you know. Maisha ni fupi.
Maisha ni fupi. Nasipangwingwi is that the phrase.
So how should we do it right? When it comes to budgeting, how should we get it right so that you don't feel like you're deprived, but at the same time you're not living beyond what you're supposed to be spending? Yeah.
So I'll go back to what do you want as a person? Safin, what do you want?
Yeah, that's a.
Do you want
list?
Yes.
My list is this long.
That's good. So you put down that list. And the other thing that we keep on emphasizing is when you put down the list of the things you want, case in point, by the time I retire, I want to own probably apartments that I could actually rent out that would actually give me income, passive income. Would give me income to ensure that I don't go back knocking to my kids' houses, that I want them to support me. Because most of our parents, that was the plan. It's because they didn't know. They knew we are taking our kids to school so that they can support us. But that's not the thing. The thing is you take your children to school because it's an obligation. You're supposed just to help them get to a certain point. So my dream is to have rentals probably worth a certain amount of money. Let me just... a random figure, let me say 60 million Kenyan shillings. So I put that down. Yes, of course, I have my daily budget. So when I look at my budget and I work out my budget and I realize my money is not able to support that dream because it's what I want. Yeah. So what do I do to make sure that I'm able to raise that kind of money? Do I stop dressing up clothes that would cost me about, when I work, I'm worth 10,000 shillings, and think about going for second-hand clothes? Now, squeezes naitwa thrift. I go to thrift stores, yeah?
Yeah, I really, like how you're bringing this out, because many people don't get it right when they have to decide on what they need to spend on and what they need to set aside for later.
Yes.
Differentiating between what you want and what you need is quite the task here.
True.
Just go on as you keep enlightening us, and also just shed light on to us on how one should differentiate what they really need and what they want.
Yes.
Hapo pia kuna shida.
Kuna shida, I agree. And a need and a want are very different. You can not do without a need, but you can live without a want. A very good example is buying coffee as opposed to making that coffee from the house. It's still coffee. It's still a cup of coffee. Yeah. But somebody will opt to go and spend 200 shillings, let me say 150 shillings. 150 shillings to buy a cup of coffee, yet they would have actually bought a sachet of about 5 shillings, or maybe even buy the whole container and keep it in the house, brew their coffee, then carry it to work. Just get a nice cup and carry it to work.
It's cheaper, it's healthier.
It's much cheaper. And let me shock you, Safin, 150 shillings for a person who's in their 20s today, if they are able to put that money in a set, in the next 10 years, they will be worth 1 million Kenyan shillings, because we are looking at that money compounding and growing.
Wow.
So before you make that decision, because you need to ask yourself, do I really need this, or do I really want it? And if you really need it, or if you really want it, then what are the options that are available for me? If you're able to ask yourself that question, and I know in EQ we keep on saying emotionally intelligent, they keep on saying, you will always be told, take 6 seconds to think before you say something. Why don't you take 6 seconds, even 1 sec, or maybe about 10 seconds, to think about the decision that you're about to make with your money? Should I buy this coffee, or should I put this money probably in a money market fund account that will actually give me returns after a period of time?
All right, let's talk about savings. Where do I get the extra to save when I can't even manage to fund all my expenses? That's the question many people ask themselves. How do you manage to build a healthy saving culture? Where do you even start?
Number one, and you brought in a very good aspect, budget. The first thing you need to do is look at your budget. The first thing we do when you come into class, we tell you to track your spending, because now you've come into class and you're telling us there's no money. And of course, we've told you to budget. So you have written down all your big tickets. School fees, rent, transport, I have a baby shower that I need to go to, I have family that I need to support, because all these things, of course, matter to you, and you need to spend money on them. After that, we'll tell you now, since you have your budget, now let's look at how you're spending your money. Track every coin. Track every coin that you spend. The people who came into class, I wouldn't want to mention their real names. They come, they track their spending, and of course they're saying we don't have money to save. At the end of the class, at the end of 1 month, because class runs for 3 months, at the end of the class, they realize, I've actually been spending 80,000 on entertainment, buying people drinks. So every Friday party or Wednesday, you go with your boys or girls, you spend that kind of money, and you're like, okay, fine. At the end of the month, you look at your
But what if these things are important to you? They make you feel like you're living life.
Now, you need to plan for it.
Okay.
You need to plan for it. And we'll go back to the budget and say, for my leisure or for my entertainment, this is how much I will spend.
Okay.
And it is important to put everything on your budget, including what people call black tax. Tough word, what people call tough, because we need to support our folks. So you need to put aside some money for that. So you say, this month my budget for supporting people that I care, the people that matter to me, is about probably 3,000, 10,000.
So you move from the random phone calls and the random sending of money.
Yes.
You actually become deliberate on how you're going to do it.
I love it's like you've been to a class. So you become very deliberate with how you plan your money, because a budget is simply a spending planner.
But how do you deal with the emergencies? You could be sitting somewhere and then an emergency happens at home or somewhere, and then you're called and you have to chip in. We are Africans. How do you deal with that?
You need to have an emergency account.
Okay.
So there's an emergency account. It is important.
If we can't save, how do we even go to the extent
That's
of
why you
having
need to go back. You need to go back to your budget, then look at your spending habits. Where do you spend and where do you think? And then once you look at your spending sheet, you're like, what is a need and what is a want here? So you become more deliberate, more intentional about your spending. And once that money is over, if the emergency is not really an emergency, it is okay to tell people, imagine I don't have money, because you're not lying.
I'm a student, so just allow me to. So if I set aside, say, 5,000, I'm just as a figure that is set aside for emergencies. If all my emergencies are beyond 5,000,
you can't get depleted.
So now I have to be very careful on the next coin that I will spend on any emergency that comes beyond this 5,000, right?
And this is what happens, because you need to build that emergency fund over time. And you know, I need to explain further about what an emergency fund is. So there's that emergency that will just come out from nowhere. So you probably set aside 5,000. Then at the end of this month, that money gets depleted. And maybe you had some money maybe set aside for, let's say, charity, what people opt to call black tax. A very tough word. So you had some money for charity, and maybe you have not sent out all the money. Borrow from that account, use it. Then next month, make sure you replace it. If the month gets to an end without you spending that kind of money, now take that money and put it in a savings account. And then the other thing that we keep on telling people, because I've mentioned about 3 things, you need to budget, you need to be very careful about how you spend your money, track your expenses, and number 3, which is supposed now to become number 1, after you have learned where your money goes to, and you have decided, and you've learned, and you've actually looked at your list, and you're like, you know what, these are my needs and these are my wants. Now you go back to start paying yourself first.
Paying yourself first.
And when you say pay yourself first, si kupigia mwili pole.
Kupiga sherehe.
Kupiga sherehe.
I know we can have this conversation the whole day, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Just 30 seconds for your final remarks, Maureen.
Now, financial literacy is something that even young kids get to learn. So you need to be very deliberate about how you spend your money. This information is not just for the people who've made money, because even we cater for all those people who are rich, we cater for people who are in the middle class, even that person who's trying to lift themselves up, including kids in college. We actually train them on how to manage your money. So hakuna pesa kidogo. Hakuna pesa kidogo. And trust me, money will never be enough if you're not deliberate about planning for your money, about thinking about your future. It will never be enough. Yes.
So kama kupiga sherehe is not paying myself, what is paying myself?
Paying myself first is saving. Saving with a goal. And just don't put money anywhere for the sake of saving. Have a goal. Is it a home I'm saving towards? Is it school fees for my children I'm saving towards? Is it a holiday? Why are we not going for holidays, guys? Mbona hatuendi sherehe? Tupige sherehe, but let's put that money aside and starting now. December tuonane Mombasa Madiani.
Maureen, I know, this is just an introductory class you've given us. Thank you so much for creating time. In the near future, I believe we should. These are the most important issues that we should be talking about. Managing your money on your way to becoming financially well. That is something each and every one of us wants to achieve. Thank you so much, Maureen, for creating time for us this particular morning. We will be finishing up on that particular note. I'm really pressed for time. I'm paving way for Tambrini, the Swahili version of the program right now. My name is Safina Cheng Oma, and our sign language interpreter has been Susan Dhuku.
And we agreed. Do you know how bad you're making me look right now? What do you want from me, Richard? When I'm cool, calm, and collected, you say that I'm mechanical. When I show you just a little emotion, you tell me that I'm being dramatic. What do you want?
I want out.
Sorry about the breakup.
Why are you acting like this?
This is not going to work out. I'll appreciate if you don't call or look for me anymore.
What?
Why did you break up with him?
He broke up with me. To Maureen and Paul. Cheers.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hamjachikanisha? Kwani mna move slow aje?
Come on, just snap out of it. Please, you will kill us.
My people, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest barrier has been answered.
Now, that is a perfect example of a nightmare. Hey!
I know you should see her. She's mwah. Oh, there goes my time. Get my books and bring them to the staff.
Okay. Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.